My name is Jason Rubenstein, and I'm the Executive Director of Harvard Hillel. This morning, as many of you saw, an article appeared in the Harvard Crimson titled, "Ethicist, Should I Let Go of My Zionist Friends?" And we're shocked to see this, and we're right to be shocked, and outraged and concerned. And I want to say three things that we need to understand, we need to think about, and together we can and are working on. The first is, this is precisely the type of shunning, ostracization, demonization, Zionism, and Zionist Jews, Israelis, that we have been speaking about, speaking out against, working against for the last 2 years. And I want to give a lot of appreciation to President Garber for diagnosing precisely this shunning as the most pervasive and insidious and destructive form of anti-Semitic discrimination that's been present, and as we're seeing in this article, is still present at Harvard. And it's a critical thing to understand that this is not like the genteel anti-Semitism at the elite universities in the mid-20th century. If you listen to alumni from the Princeton eating clubs of the 60s of why they restricted the number of Jews, they didn't say they should do it. They didn't feel a moral obligation. But the morally tinged call to exclude Jews, to exclude Jewish nationalism from the purview of one's friend circle, from the circle of sympathy, is something more troubling. And that's why we've been reaching back, the Austria of the 1930s for an example of a kind of moral crusade that will take Jews as some of its victims. And we are right to see hints of that and echoes of it here and to raise the alarms. We also need to understand, secondly, that this question and the wrong answer, that yes, I ought to exclude Zionists from my social circles, is widespread among young Americans today. The best data are that 25% of American college students report that they would not be friends with a Zionist. This is a question that's being asked millions of times across America, not just at Harvard. Were that it just at Harvard by this one student. And I want to call our community's attention to that the efforts that we've made heretofore have been inadequate to the demands of the moment, to the demands of the era, to the demands of the coming generation. And we need to be more resourceful, we need to be more creative, we need to speak more directly to the issues and make the case on substance for the dignity and the integrity of Zionism as the Jewish people's national liberation movement, and that we deserve a place among the people and the nations of the world, and among the political fabric of America, the social fabric of our communities, no less than anyone else, and that any call to the contrary is a form of bigotry and discrimination. And the last thing I want to point out is that this is not new at Harvard. Many of us are noticing this for the first time. I've been getting emails all day today. But almost exactly a year ago, when Harvard Hillel hosted a former IDF general, there were protests outside our building. "Zionists not welcome here" was the chant. And this wasn't just about friendship, like in this piece. This was about whether Jews of a certain belief, Jews who are the majority of the world's Jews, and the majority of American Jews who believe in Zionism, are welcome at Harvard. And there are students on this campus who think that the answer is and ought to be no, and some faculty as well. And those people are practicing a form of bigotry, a call to exclude members of our community based on our sincerely held beliefs. And all decent people, not just Jews, should rise up against that, because those calls are corrosive, they're destructive to the Jewish community, they're harmful to the security that we have fought so hard for. They're also harmful to these institutions to which we've given so much, and they're harmful to the place of every student here who wants to be able to share their honest beliefs without fear of being subjected to hatred and mistreatment by their colleagues. And we're right to ask for that and nothing less. And so the question I would like to ask the ethicist is what it's like to write in the context of widespread discrimination against Jewish students and the concerns, how they address them, of contributing to a plausibility structure of discrimination, marginalization, demonization, and bigotry. I want you all to know out there that these issues are the ones that we are working on tirelessly at Harvard Hillel in partnership with the administration, in coordination with Harvard's Jewish alumni, parents, donors, student leaders, faculty, and members of the larger American and international conversation. We have made real progress over the last 2 years, and as you can see today, there is much more work to be done. Please join us and help us in these efforts so that 2 years from now, this question will be asked much less frequently in a different tone, and we'll receive a very different answer on campus. Thank you for your partnership. We all need to be in this, working together for the long haul. It is not an easy path, but our people have faced harder things in the past and survived, and together we can do this as well. Thank you. Jason Rubenstein.